Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are Southwest.
For most of June, the Rangers have been missing key ingredients that made their offense one of baseball's most explosive in the month of May. Last week, the first of the missing pieces returned with the addition of Adrian Beltre. Tonight, the second piece of the puzzle is back. Josh Hamilton takes his place in the Rangers lineup. Coming up next from Camden Yards, the Rangers take on the AL East leading Baltimore Orioles on Fox Sports Southwest. Texas Rangers baseball is presented by AT&T Ubers TV. Now it is a warmer, much more humid night here in Baltimore. The threat of rain apparently out of the way for the time being. The Rangers, however, are going to brew up a storm as they take on the Baltimore Orioles in Game 2 of this four-game set. And welcome in, everyone, along with Tom Green, Steve Busby. Glad you could join us on this Tuesday night of Rangers baseball. Rangers, a good offensive performance last night. They're looking for more of the same tonight. And they send their 35-year-old right-handed veteran, Colby Lewis, to the hill.
Yeah, every time you say that, Buzz, I feel good about our chances because Colby's been so steady all season long. He's been very steady as well in the month of June. And what do you expect when you see Colby on the mound? You expect him to spot his fastball and get hitters out with a breaking ball, whether it's a slider or a curveball. His last start was an unusual one. He mowed down the A's for the first 4 innings. Then in the 5th inning, he walked 3 batters in a 4-batter stretch. He's only walked 5 batters in the whole month of June in 5 starts. He's 3-0 with a 3.09 ERA, a 5-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio, and he's very tough when men are in scoring position. So I think he got the walks behind him in that 1 inning against the A's, and I would look for him to probably not walk anybody tonight.
Well, that would be fitting for this month of June for Colby Lewis, and he'll have the newest Ranger back in the lineup tonight, and that would be Josh Hamilton. And right after this break, John Radigan is going to catch up with the Ranger hero from a month ago, Josh Hamilton. We'll be back right after this timeout on Fox Sports Southwest. is brought to you by your Texas Ford dealers. Visit your Texas Ford dealer now for great deals on America's best-selling brand. Ford is the best in Texas. By AT&T UVerse TV. UVerse has more live TV channels on the go than cable. And by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. A very high veil of thin clouds up above. Very warm and humid evening. Before we get underway, let's head down and check in with John Radigan.
Yeah, Buzz, Josh Hamilton back in the lineup in left field. And in Oriole Park in Camden, Josh visiting clubhouse. His locker is well placed. Right next to Adrian Beltre, who's battled a lot of hamstring injuries. Josh has picked his brain.
Yeah, just continue to talk to Beltre and those guys who have had him before, and, trying to remind yourself while you're out there when to go, when not to go, and play through it. And what he said yesterday is just, he feels better when he plays with it and is in game situations, and it actually helps the muscle itself recuperate faster. So, that's just the approach I'm going to take.
It's just an approach he has to take right now to try and stay as healthy as is absolute possible. And so that's what Josh Hamilton will do, guys. Let's get it back up to you.
All right, John, thank you very much. Well, we'll see how that goes. Glad to have Josh back in the lineup, as the Rangers certainly are. And Rougned Odor leading off. He has a 2-ball, no-strike count. Miguel Gonzalez, the 31-year-old right-hander, on the hill for the Orioles. And he misses low and away. So Rougned bidding to begin this ball game by getting aboard. Shin-Soo Choo, the Ranger right fielder, is waiting in the on-deck circle. Gonzalez at 6-4 with a .350 earned run average, and he misses inside a 4-pitch walk to Rougned Odor. Now Tom will tell you about the rest of the Southwest Airlines Rangers batting order.
Well, we know that Rougned Odor is the leadoff hitter. Shin-Soo Choo is batting second. Prince Fielder is third, followed by Adrian Beltre, the third baseman. Josh Hamilton, the left fielder, is fifth. Mitch Moreland moves down to the sixth spot in the lineup. He'll play first base. The shortstop is Elvis Andrus. Batting eighth is Leonis Martin. And batting ninth is the catcher, Robinson Chirinos.
Well, that Ranger lineup trying to put together back-to-back good offensive performances. Shin-Soo Choo taking strike one from Gonzalez. Choo, a big night last night. A breakout night for him. 3 hits, including a home run. That home run, by the way, drove in his 500th career RBI. Oh, a big night for Shin-Soo. Odor at first. The 0-1 pitch is high and tight. And a look at Miguel Gonzalez, a fastball slider with an excellent split-fingered pitch that he uses as a changeup. He's been very consistent in his couple of years with Baltimore as a starter. Ranger hitters will try to work him in the count early in the ballgame to see what kind of command he's going to have on any given night. He is usually around the plate, and if Ranger hitters discover that early enough, then they can start attacking him early in the count. He's the kind of guy that you want to stay away from counts where he is going to be able to throw that split-fingered pitch for a knockout pitch. 1 ball, 1 strike, the count. Choo bunting it down the third baseline, and it is foul with the overshift on, the slight overshift, not an extreme overshift. That had Manny Machado, the third baseman, you can see playing a good 45, maybe 50 feet off the line. And Choo trying to take advantage of that. Good idea, but didn't quite get it in fair territory. Choo now 232.
If Machado stays there at shortstop, you don't really need the element of surprise. Just do it again. He can't stop you if you bunt it fair.
And with 2 strikes, that would be something that Choo probably wouldn't want to do.
No, you're right. Not with 2 strikes.
2-2 now the count. Choo now 9 home runs, 33 driven in. Ranger hierarchy as far as the home runs and have changed a little bit last night with Mitch Moreland catching Prince Fielder. Fly ball to left. Travis Snyder toward the line, drifting back a few steps. That is out number 1. And let's take a look at the rest of the Oriole defense for you behind Miguel Gonzalez tonight. Well, you saw Travis Snyder in left, Adam Jones man center, and Chris Davis getting the start in right field tonight. Chris Parmalee at first, Ryan Flaherty and J.J. Hardy up the middle, Manny Machado at third. And Matt Wieters back behind the plate. Good to see him back. Buck Showalter working Wieters back in gradually. He just came off the disabled list the first part of June. He's coming off of Tommy John surgery. Here's Prince fielding. Ball one. Prince, a base hit last night, extending his hitting streak to 8 consecutive games. 348 the average. That's good for second now in the American League. 12 home runs, 48 RBI. And that 415 on base percentage. Oh, the Ranger number 3 hitter. A strike at the knees. It is 1-1.
The Orioles signed Gonzalez as a minor league free agent. Spent quite a bit of time in the minor leagues. And they kind of hit the jackpot when they signed him to a minor league contract. He's been a solid pitcher for him for 3 years. He's gone 30 and 21. ERA in the mid to low threes.
Flaherty to second. They get one there. The return to first. A 4-6-3 double play, and the Ranger first comes to a close. Nothing going except the walk that's taken care of by the Twin killing. Half an inning in the books, no score. Yards. Rangers do not score in the top of the first. Tom's going to tell you about the Oriole lineup tonight.
Manny Machado is the leadoff hitter. Third baseman. Jimmy Paredes is the DH, batting second, hitting .321. Adam Jones is a center fielder. He'll hit third, followed by Chris Davis in right field. Matt Wieters will catch tonight and bat fifth. Chris Parmalee is at first base. J.J. Hardy is at shortstop, batting seventh. The left fielder batting eighth is Travis Snyder, and batting ninth is the second baseman Ryan Flaherty.
And Buck Showalter in his 6th year at the helm of the Baltimore Orioles. Colby Lewis, our progressive scouting report, telling you he needs to keep him from getting ambushed early in the count. And by that, I mean that this Baltimore club loves to swing early in the count when they have an idea of what's coming. They pick up a pattern. They will jump on that first pitch. Fastball command, extremely important for Colby tonight against a very aggressive ball club. And he starts things off by missing outside to Manny Machado for ball one. Machado extending his hitting streak last night to 11 consecutive games. He had a 2-hit night here last evening, hitting at .307, 15 home runs, 43 driven in. 2-0 pitch from Colby. And ball three sails wide. Well, the Ranger leadoff hitter, Rougned Odor, got a 4-pitch walk. Manny Machado trying to do the same for the Orioles. And a strike will bring him back to the batter's box. Bill Welke, by the way, calling the balls and strikes tonight. 3-1 is on the outside corner. 3 balls and 2 strikes. So Colby trying to come all the way back against Machado. Colby, that 7-3 mark, 3-0 in the month of June. And Machado pops it up. Shallow right field coming on Shin-Soo Choo. That is out number 1. So Colby comes all the way back to the 3-0 count. Take a look at the Ranger defense. It's delivered to you tonight by Chicken Express. You saw Choo in right field. Leonis Martin in center. Josh Hamilton back in the lineup playing in left field tonight. Moreland at first. Odor and Andrews up the middle. Beltre at third. And Robinson Chirinos back behind the plate here this evening. No one out for Colby. Timmy Paredes, the designated hitter. Switch hitter, batting from his stronger side, the left side. He takes a strike at the knees. Paredes, a .321 hitter. 9 home runs, 36 driven in. He's been a bit of a surprise for Baltimore. Never been able to put up the kinds of numbers that before that he is now, but he is really flourishing in this Oriole lineup.
No, in his major league career, he's had 430 at-bats coming into the season. He had 5 home runs and knocked in 39 runs in all that time. He's already done that this year almost. He's got 9 home runs, 36 RBIs.
2-1 pitch. And that's popped up into left field. Hamilton angling in and toward the line. 2 gone. Well, Paredes flies out. 2 balls in the air tonight, which is something that Colby does about as much as anybody in baseball. The fly ball percentage way up over 50% for Colby. But of those fly balls, very few of them leave the ballpark this year. And that's the key. Colby only giving up about less than 6% of the fly balls leave the park for a home run. Adam Jones now will step in. Jones a .292 average. He had a base hit that drove in the only Baltimore run last night. And there's that first swing, the first pitch hack. A hard swing by Adam Jones, and it's fouled off. Jones, a standout center fielder, a Gold Glove center fielder, and also an all-star center fielder. .309 is average against the Rangers over 62 ball games. 1 ball and 1 strike. Colby working quickly, as he likes to do. That's out of play down the right side. It's 1 ball and 2 strikes now. Jones 4 out of 15 against Colby in their previous matchups. 1 of those 4, a home run. This is one of the parks that Colby Lewis has never won in. He's had some well-pitched ball games that the Rangers just did not score for him. Hard hit ball to the right side. Dropped by Odor, recovers and throws wide, and Jones will be aboard on the air. Looks like Rugden might have let that ball get back to him a little deep, and couldn't handle a difficult hop.
Yeah, Rugi's been playing some great baseball since he came back from AAA, and that 99% of the time will be no problem for him. That little hop caught him off the heel of the glove that time, though.
Well, the Orioles with life. Rugden Odor's error. For the Rangers, that is team error number 62 for the season. Chris Davis will get a shot here in the first inning. Davis getting the start in right field tonight. He takes a knee-high strike. It is 0-1. Chris 2 out of 5 against Colby Lewis. Average at .234 with 16 home runs, 45 driven in. Those power numbers top the Baltimore output. Pop foul on the third base side. It's 0-2.
Colby throwing all fastballs, establishing that in the first inning. Moving the ball around, though.
Saw the numbers on the 9-game hitting streak for Chris Davis. That's his longest streak of the year. Down to the count here with Adam Jones at first. 2 outs in the bottom of the first. 0-2 pitch coming. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Remember a game Colby pitched here 3 or 4 years ago where he only gave up 5 hits in a game, but they were all home runs.
Remember that.
All solo home runs. Down at the shoe tops of Chris Davis, and the count's even at 2-2. Robinson Chirinos handling the catching chores tonight. Chirinos more and more the everyday catcher for the Rangers, with Carlos Corcoran catching Wandy Rodriguez start every fifth time out, and an occasional game. But Robinson swinging the bat well, and he's catching most of the time. High, and the count now is full. So with 2 outs, Adam Jones will be able to take off with the next pitch. Mitch Moreland letting Colby know that he's going to play behind Adam Jones. Chris Davis batting fourth. He'll be followed by Matt Wieters, the catcher. Colby set. Jones on the run. 3-2 pitch is yanked foul. We'll reset and try it again.
Change up that time for Colby on the 3-2 pitch. That guy might be taking that off the side of the head. And the changeup had Chris a little bit out in front of it. Fortunately, glad that wasn't a fastball.
Yeah. Might have put a dent in the B&O warehouse out there in right field. Colby again set. Adam Jones again on the move. That ball's hammered to right center field. The owners will pull up. That ball's gone. Chris Davis with his 17th home run of the year, a 2-run blast. Orioles lead at 2-0. The error allowed Davis to come to bat in the first. And the second 3-2 pitch that stayed in the middle of the plate allowed him to hit the ball out of the park.
He looked like, based on Robinson's glove, he was trying to throw that ball down and away. It comes back up, and then the movement brought it back toward the middle of the plate. And Chris did the rest.
Matt Wieters, now the hitter, and he takes low and inside. 2 balls and no strikes. Chris Davis, by the way, now a 10-game hitting streak. As he popped his 17th home run, he has now driven 47 across home plate. Wieters a 288 hitter. Out in front of that change of speeds. Wieters a switch hitter. We mentioned coming back from the Tommy John surgery. He had surgery on that right elbow last August. Had to miss the first month or so of the season, month and a half. Still recuperating from the effects of that surgery.
Yeah, Wieters was off to probably the best start of his career last year. He was hitting over 300. He had 5 home runs. He knocked in 18 and just a little over 100 at bats when he had to go on the disabled list and miss the last part of the season. Tough guy to lose for the Orioles. Veteran catcher, solid behind the plate, and possibly having his best offensive year last year.
3-2 pitch is fouled back. Yeah, really a leader in this Oriole ball club, too. A Gold Glove catcher, and as you said, Tom, not only offensively, it looked like he was having his best all-around year for the Orioles. Up there now, the base is empty. 2 runs across and 2 outs here in the first. Colby back to the plate. And a little topper down the first baseline will roll into foul territory, trying to come back, but Robinson Chirinos couldn't coax it back onto the chalk.
Yeah, the error obviously cost the Rangers this inning. It cost Colby probably 10 or 11 extra pitches.
About that juncture right there, Matt Wieters said, "Oh, I think he's coming back. I better go." Now Colby now about ready to throw his 29th pitch of this first inning. Hard hit to Odor, who down on one knee comes up with it, and that will do it. But the Orioles get a couple of runs on a hit and an error. Nobody left after one. 2-0 Baltimore. Thousand fans will get a Michael Young bobblehead. That's courtesy of Globe Life. It's your last chance to see the Rangers before the All-Star break. So don't wait to get your tickets. Just visit TexasRangers.com or you can call 972-RANGERS today. Now Baltimore, a couple of unearned runs in the first inning. And Adrian Beltre will try and get the Rangers going here in the second. Beltre, Hamilton, and Moreland to face Miguel Gonzalez. First pitch is a fastball for strike one. Beltre at 255 now. 6 home runs and 20 RBI. Not a lot of success against Miguel Gonzalez in the past. Backhanded by the shortstop Hardy. And Beltre is retired, one away. Well, if Hardy can get to it, you can pretty much put it in the bank because he's as steady as they come at short.
You're not going to see him make too many inaccurate throws to first base, that's for sure. He's a strike thrower from shortstop.
Well, if you're wondering, last week sometime when Josh Hamilton would get back in the lineup, Baltimore was a good bet because Josh loves this place. His eyes lit up. If you saw the interview we had with him game during that Oakland series at home, he said, "Yeah, I'm kind of hoping for Baltimore." He said his hands started getting twitchy and he wanted to bat. 4 home run game here, of course, back in 2012. Going the other way, it's out of play. That ball game back on May the 8th of 2012. Josh had 4 home runs and a 5-hit night, and he could very easily have had 5 home runs. The double that he hit, the only ball that didn't leave the ballpark, was maybe hit as hard as 2 of the home runs. A night that, well, few people will forget if they happen to see it. You see in 51 ball games, Hamilton 13 home runs against Baltimore. And that's out of play. Josh finished up a week of rehab games with Frisco and Round Rock, getting .333 and 4 for 12. Gonzalez ahead of the count, no balls, 2 strikes. And a base hit to right center field. And Gonzalez trying to get the ball in, and Hamilton never let it get there. He's the first base runner on a hit for the Rangers.
Yeah, he'd been throwing them away, tailing the ball out of the strike zone for those foul balls, and then tried to come in, got a little bit too much of the plate. And Josh, welcome back with a line drive single to center field. First at bat.
No, 1 on, 1 out. Here's Mitch Moreland. Moreland, a big 2-home run game last night. He has been on fire, not on just on this road trip. He's swinging the bat very well on the trip, but the whole month of June he has been hot. Mitch leads the Rangers in total hits. He has 30 for the month, 7 home runs, and 21 RBI. Put that in context of American League leaders in the month of June. He is 7th in home runs and tied for 3rd in RBI. And he's going to add to that. Deep to right field. Look out, Boog Powell. Gone.
And Mitch is launching some long ones, boy.
Headed toward Boog's barbecue out there. And we have a brand new ball game, 2-2.
Well, Mitch takes over the team home run lead with that bomb. Hit one, a line shot to right field, a long one to a little bit right of center field last night. And this one almost got out on Utah Street. Looked like it hit the iron fence, maybe halfway up it before it got out there. Boog probably heard it hit the fence. Well, fastball, that's just not going to get Mitch right now. Well, Mitch is featuring a nice short, quick stroke. Rangers hit 4 home runs last night, and here they go again. Started in the 2nd inning. Oh, nice try.
A pair of 2-run home runs here in the early going. Mitch Moreland says to Chris Davis, "Oh, I'll see yours and call you."
Yeah, Chris hit his pretty good, but not that good.
No. No, brand new ball game. 2-2 the score. Mitch with 13 home runs, now 41 RBI. Here's Elvis, a count of 1 ball and 1 strike. And this one popped up. Weeder's off with the mask, making the call. The catcher puts it away for out number 2.
I was listening to a fantasy baseball show the other day, and the host of the show was talking about guys that might not be on a roster that you had to pick up, and he was talking about Mitch. And he said, I can't understand why he's not on some rosters, but if you're out there looking for a hitter to help you out in the second half of the season, you got to have Mitch Moreland. That was about 2 days ago. I hope his listeners took him up on that and added Mitch to their fantasy rosters.
They got pretty good return on their investment if they did. Here's Leonis Martin taking strike 1. Leonis 222 with the average, 5 home runs, 23 driven in. Looking for his first hit against Miguel Gonzalez. 1 ball, 1 strike. Leonis a base hit last night, 1 for 4. He was just 2 for 14 on the trip. There's that split-fingered pitch they used for a changeup.
After that bomb by Mitch, might start seeing a little bit more of that pitch now as the game goes on.
Weeder sets the target outside. The pitch from Gonzalez is off the outside corner. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Miguel Gonzalez, a native of Mexico, grew up in Southern California. His parents moved there when he was very young. Got him swinging. First strikeout of the night. Leonis is gone, but the Rangers, on the strength of Mitch Moreland's 13th home run of the year, a 2-run blast, tie the ball game as we head to the bottom of the 2nd. Baseball on Fox Sports Southwest is brought to you by your Texas Ford dealer. Visit your Texas Ford dealer now for great deals on America's best-selling brand. Ford is the best in Texas. And a brand new ball game. Colby Lewis back to the hill to start the bottom of the second. Chris Parmalee, J.J. Hardy, and Travis Snyder, the first three Orioles, due up against the veteran right-hander. That ball yanked foul into the crowd over the Oriole dugout. And Parmalee now with a count of 1 ball and 1 strike. Parmalee, 13 ball games this year for the Orioles, a .302 average. 4 home runs, though, in those 13 games. He was brought up from AAA by Baltimore, and he has been a pleasant surprise. It's been half the month of June that he has been with the club. Colby paints the outside corner, 2-2. Chris Parmalee, a former #1 draft pick by the Minnesota Twins. Full count. In the early going, Colby's command has not been what we've come to expect of him in the month of June. Struggling a bit with it. 3-2 pitch. Hooked the other way. That'll slice back into the crowd. Colby so far struggling with both the fastball and the breaking ball command. Doesn't seem to have one pitch that he can really go to that he's sure he can throw for a strike or in the proper part of the strike zone. Another 3-2. We will try it one more time. Last night, the Rangers winning 8-1. That was on the heels of a 3-game series that the Orioles had against the Cleveland Indians. And Parmalee shoots one by Ruben Odor into right center for a leadoff single. And the 8th pitch of the at-bat goes for a base hit.
A high changeup, tailing away outside, but a little bit up.
No, 1 on, nobody out. J.J. Hardy now coming to the plate. Hardy, a .249 average with 3 home runs and 18 driven in. Colby starts him off with strike 1. Hardy had hit in each of his last 2 ball games over the years against Colby. A couple of home runs and 15 at bats. He lines to right field. Chu, though, hasn't measured. 1 gone. Back to first is Parmalee. So Hardy retired. Now Travis Snyder coming up. Colby trying to find some way to manage things here in the early going until he can get his timing back, get his command back. Boy, that's a struggle sometimes. You go out there and throw a couple of pitches that feel pretty good, and all of a sudden the next one you throw, you feel like you've never pitched before.
There's a breaking ball, just can't quite get it down. Orioles have a number of guys in their lineup, kind of average kind of guys that they picked up for a fairly reasonable price. Paredes they got from Kansas City for cash considerations. Probably not a lot of cash, and he's had a nice season for him. Parmalee was a minor league free agent. Travis Snyder came over from Pittsburgh for a couple of minor league pitchers. And they're all contributing to a pennant contender.
Colby with a 2-0 pitch. Slowly hit to second. Odor to Andrews. They get one back to first, not in time. Well, just not quite hit sharply enough to be able to turn it, but the lead man is retired. Parmalee taken out. Snyder at first, 2 away. Ryan Flaherty coming up. And folks, as you know, there's no better place to celebrate Independence Day than Globe Life Park. The Rangers play the Angels on July 4th. It's an 8:05 game, and following the game, fans will be treated to a spectacular 4th of July fireworks display presented by Papa John's. Visit TexasRangers.com to buy your tickets and make plans now to spend your 4th with the Rangers. Flaherty takes the pitch down and in for ball 1. And Flaherty a .254 average. 3 home runs, 20 driven in. And Colby got that breaking ball over. 1 ball and 1 strike. Flaherty, along with about 4 other guys for the Orioles, spending some time, significant time this year on the disabled list. Flaherty, 2 different stints on the DL. And a groin strain that started bothering him in spring training, went on the disabled list, came back maybe a little too soon. Buck Showalter and the Orioles had to put him back on the disabled list for 25 days. Got him swinging. Good breaking ball down and in, and Colby all of a sudden found it.
That's a good sign.
No runs a hit, and 1 man left. On to the 3rd, 2-2. Use hashtag Southwest Data's Strong Fan, and you might see yourself on an upcoming broadcast. And all this fun brought to you by T-Mobile. Tom, I think you ought to tweet your strongest fan photo to him.
I'm not tweeting, Buzz. Haven't quite gotten into it. Still kind of standing by our conversation of about a month ago.
There you go.
Oh, that is. If I was a young lady and I came to a game, I can't think of anything I'd like better than to end up sitting next to those 2 guys. Look at the look on her face. Do we have to be here?
What did I do wrong? Wow.
You guys be in the WWE. WWF, whatever it is. Wrestling Federation?
WW2. Robinson Chirinos aboard to start things off here in the 3rd, and back to the top of the order, Rougned Odor. Rougned drew a walk to start things for the Rangers, and showing bunt, and takes ball 1 from Gonzalez. Rougned checking with third base coach Tony Beasley, excuse me. There's Tony. Flashing the signs out to both Chirinos and to Rougned Odor. 1-0 pitch on the way. 2 balls, no strikes. Odor hasn't seen a strike yet tonight. 6 pitches, They've all been out of the strike zone.
Well, he's not expanding the zone, not taking the swings he was taking early in the year. Kind of wild swings, trying to do a little too much. Pitches out of the strike zone. Much more under control right now.
There's one at the bottom of the strike zone. That was like the splitter that Gonzalez got in.
That's a good one to take right there.
A 2-1 now. We'll see if maybe the skipper is going to start Chirinos. Maybe a little hit and run action here. Gonzalez comes back to the plate, and he gets the called strike.
Borderline pitch. That did a pretty nice job to lay off that one. That's a pitch that you hardly ever see that pitch called a strike.
You're right.
That thing's not even close to being a strike.
2-2. Off the glove. That may turn out pretty well. Hardy throws not in time.
Oh, what a play by Parmalee. Hardy almost picked that ball up and threw it down the right field line. That turned out all right. The pitch was called a strike. Rudenhead gets himself a base hit. I'm assuming that's a base hit.
Yep, sure is.
Hardy launched this ball trying to get him, and Parmalee had to pretty much reach behind him to keep that ball from going down the right field line, or at least off the, maybe into the stands or off the wall behind first base. Might have allowed each runner to move up.
I saw it. Hardy's foot slipped as he tried to plant it to throw. So 2 aboard on a couple of base hits. Here's Shin-Soo Choo. He takes a strike on the inner part of the plate. Choo, a fly ball to left his first time. 0 for 1 tonight. Average at .231. That home run that Shin-Soo hit last night is first since the 2nd day of June. Foul back, 0-2 now.
Well, he had some great swings in last night's game. So far in this game, he flied out to left field, but was right on the pitch. Didn't try to pull it. Hit a ball last night in addition to the balls that he had base hits on. Hit one that Nolan Reimold caught right on top of the wall in the field. So he had some good swings last night. Having some good swings today so far.
Check swing. Did he go? No, he did not.
That's a hard. You had to have some discipline to check your swing on that pitch. That was close to being a strike. He started his swing, and he stopped in time. Wow.
He did.
Strong hands to be able to stop the bat.
1 ball and 2 strikes. Chirinos at second, Odor at first. Nobody out here in the Ranger third.
Same pitch.
Yep, that is inside. 2-2. Gonzalez being forced now in this inning to work a little overtime. Chirinos touching for a leadoff single, then the Odor infield hit on a 2-2 count. And now another 2-2 count with Shin-Soo Choo up there. High and tight, the count is full. Choo running the string out all the way. He's batting second in the order. The Ranger DH is waiting to be next. That's Prince Fielder. Shea Gonzalez really trying to wear out that inside part of the plate. He's going to come back with a 3-2 pitch here. Outside and low, ball 4, and that will load him up for Fielder.
That's a disciplined hitter. You get behind with 2 strikes, and you're able to take all those pitches, those hard breaking balls down and in, get swings so many times. Last pitch, 3-2. You're anticipating a strike. You say to yourself, well, he can't walk me. There's 2 men on and nobody out. He's going to throw me a fastball. Then he throws you that tempting slider just right near the strike zone, and Choo is still able to lay off it. So that was one of those walks that was a nice accomplishment.
Choo's free pass that loads the bases for Prince Fielder. Fielder grounded into a double play his first time up. Oriole infield playing back there, trying to prevent a big inning. And Fielder trying to promote a big inning. time called as Prince tired of waiting. Gonzalez will continue to work from the stretch with the bases full. Fielder 0 for 1, a .347 average. First pitch from Gonzalez. Ball one. Fielder on this trip, 7 out of 17 during his 8-game hitting streak. About a .433 average. Opportunity to do some damage here in the third. And ball two misses. Well, Gonzalez really working himself into a supreme hole.
I'm just thinking, what do I throw here? 2-0. I've shown him my breaking ball. Got to throw a strike.
Well, you might want to consider falling behind 2-0. That walk wouldn't be the worst thing that could happen.
That was probably a good selection.
Yep.
Do it for a strike, too.
See the bottom falling out of that pitch. Oh, 2-1 now. But now he's still in a fastball count, and he's already seen the split.
Yeah. Not sure why he hasn't thrown more of those.
Gonzalez to the plate. Outside, 3 balls and a strike.
Well, if he threw one 2-0, you have to think he's going to throw one right here. He can't get his either can't get his fastball over, or he's nibbling so much with a movement on it that it's taking it out of the strike zone.
Fielder batting third of the Ranger order, Adrian Beltre. The cleanup man is waiting to do his thing. 3 balls, 1 strike, nobody out. Bases full. Up the middle, base hit. 1 run will score. Everybody else advances 90 feet. Torinos crosses home. A RBI single by Prince. Fielder. The Rangers grab the lead at 3-2.
That was a bullet to left center field. Odor was on second, and he actually had nice instincts. His instincts told him that ball might be caught. I can't get doubled up with the bases loaded, nobody out. And so he lunged back to second base just in case. And it wasn't that far away from Hardy, really. You see Rupnet going back towards second, which only allowed him to get to third, but with nobody out, that's no big deal. Right, you got Adrian coming up anyway. I think the worst thing that can happen there is you get doubled off. Yep. The bases loaded.
I agree. Ray Wallace out to chat briefly with Miguel Gonzalez. Still nobody out. A run across. Rangers have the bases loaded for Adrian Beltre. Beltre a ground ball to short his first time. Adrian 5 out of 17 on this road trip. It's a .294 average. First pitch from Gonzalez. Almost hit it. 1 ball, no strikes. We'll remind you something we talked briefly about last night. The Orioles go with a 6-man bullpen. And looking out there, there's nobody up right now, and you can kind of understand why. You have 6 men, and one of them's your closer. You used Tommy Hunter for multiple innings last night.
And they were kind of in the same position last night, off and on, with Bud Norris, who didn't give up a tremendous amount of base runners, but he was having a hard time keeping the ball in the ballpark. Got 6 innings out of him last night.
Yeah, you're right. From the third inning on, that was a little bit tenuous.
Yeah.
Now, Adrian, the advantage in the count now. Miguel Gonzalez falls behind 2-0, just as he did to Prince Fielder. Odor, Chu, and Fielder, third, second, and first. Fastball right down the middle. 2-1. Not exactly the ball strike ratio you'd like. 50 pitches total, 27 strikes, 23 balls. Now the 2-1. Got the splitter, and it's 2-2.
Yeah, a tough time locating his fastball. They haven't been swinging with his slider. That's been his best pitch.
Adrian doing a little talking to himself. Time called momentarily as Prince Fielder has to do a little equipment repair down at first. Shoelaces balky. Hector Ortiz down there giving him instructions. Take that lace and put it over the outer line. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Nobody out. A run across for the Rangers. They have a 3-2 lead. Adrian trying to bump that lead up. We'll try it again on 2-2. Mentioned last night, you see Adrian's bat no longer has that tape section between his hands, but still a lot of cushioning around that left thumb. Glove not as heavily taped, quite as heavily taped as it was in Toronto, but still a significant amount of reinforcement.
And that's what he has to do to diminish the pain as much as he can, but it's not comfortable to hit with all that stuff on your hands.
The shortstop, the second for 1, they return to first in time. The double play in to score Rougned Odor, but they're now 2 outs. The Ranger lead, though, is up to 4-2. No RBI for Beltre. Shin-Soo Choo on to third. Fielder and Beltre removed. And Josh Hamilton now will come up.
The Rangers get another run, but the Orioles are very happy to give up that run for 2 outs in that situation with the middle of the lineup up there and nobody out. Especially having run the count to 2-0 with the bases loaded.
Yeah, see if Josh Hamilton can run into one here and pick up Rougned Odor. Josh had a base hit to center his first time. Takes that splitter outside for ball 1. Excuse me, Chu is at third. Odor already scored. Josh with the base hit, up over 300. 304 with the average. And he tops one down to first. Parmalee will take it to the bag, and that will do it. The Rangers, though, add on 2 runs. They get 2 runs on 3 hits and lead 1 after 2.5. Rangers leading 4-2.
Back at Oriole Park at Camden Yards, and look who I found. This is Tony Hamilton, Josh's dad. Used to come to all the games up here when Josh was at the Rangers. Josh is back. Tony's back. It's good to see you, Tony.
Good to be back.
Yeah, and of course, Josh didn't do as well the last time up, but first time up, gets a base hit, rides home on a home run. It's a pretty nice start for him, wasn't it?
It sure is. Nice to see him back playing.
Yeah, and I guess I was talking to your wife, and you like him in Texas better than in Anaheim, right?
Absolutely.
And why is that?
Well, he loves it and calls it home, and Texas is bigger and better.
Yeah, and obviously it's great to see him just back in the game, healthy after a miserable offseason for him. You must be real happy.
I'm very happy, ecstatic, in fact.
Yeah, and you guys always came up as much as you could to these games from. Well, you're in North Carolina, right? So you make it to the Baltimore games.
When we could, yeah. Sure we did.
Yeah.
And we had fun.
Yeah,
Great park.
It is, and here you are watching them again. It must feel like old times.
Well, not quite, but it's getting there.
Yeah. All right, that's great. That's great, Tony. We appreciate it very much, and we'll let you get back to watching the game, but thanks for taking some time with us.
All right, thank you.
All right, that's Tony Hamilton, guys. Let's get it back up to you.
All right, John, thank you. Well, in the meantime, Manny Machado skied out to center field. Josh out in left field, patrolling that part of the outfield, and Colby Lewis, another fly ball for an out. So one away, Jimmy Paredes will come to the plate now. Paredes, a fly ball to Hamilton, his first time up. Good fastball from Colby. Got it up and got it by Paredes. Strike one. Paredes with 9 home runs, 36 driven in. Colby reading the signs from Robinson Chirinos. And he misses high. 2 balls and a strike. Talk about Paredes putting up some numbers. He put up a career high 12-game hitting streak as a member of the Orioles earlier this year, back in May. 2-2 now. Still trying to get that breaking ball down where he wants it all the time. Got him swinging. Stayed up there with the fastball, and Colby gets his second strikeout of the night. 2 away, Adam Jones coming up. But first of all, let's send it back to Aaron Hardigan for a Mazda game break. All right, Aaron, thank you. Adam Jones goes after the first pitch and lines one to left field, a base hit. Well, Jones, who reached on an error in the first inning and opened the door for Chris Davis' 2-run home run, now has a 2-out single here in the third and brings Davis up again.
The only team in the AL East that's not in it right now is the Red Sox. That's all the East needs, is for the Red Sox to get hot. Make it a 5-team race. 1 game separates the first 4 teams.
That's something. Well, Davis hit his 17th home run of the year, first time up. Bullet into center. Chris now a 47 RBI. And Jones drawing a throw from Robinson Chirinos. Chris Davis, a native of Longview, Texas. 1-0 pitch. That ball is hit high and deep to right center field. Going back at the wall is Martin. That ball is gone. Chris Davis, another 2-run home run, and we are tied once again.
Same formula as the first inning. Machado and Paredes are both outs. Nobody on, 2 outs. Adam Jones gets on, and Chris Davis gets a fastball to hit and hits it. Again, he's trying to throw the ball down and away, and the ball comes up and right down the center of the plate. And that's just not going to get Chris out. Colby's paid for it twice to Chris Davis with fastballs that weren't located where he wanted them.
And now Wieters drives one to deep right center field. Back is Chu and on the warning track, able to make the catch for the final out. Colby gives up the second home run of the night to Chris Davis. A 2-run blast. Will go to the fourth inning, tied at 4. Fourth inning. And we will take a look at our AT&T U-verse rewind. We'll take you back to the second inning. Mitch Moreland with Josh Hamilton on base. And Moreland cranks one out of here, headed toward Utah Street out there. Mitch Moreland with his third home run in the last 2 nights. His 13th for the year. And Mitch is leading off the fourth inning for the Rangers. Gonzalez hits the outside corner with strike 1. Mitch now hitting at 303. The RBI total up to 41. The Ranger first baseman. Up tight. And the count is even at 1-1 strike. Well, Moreland a 2-home run game last night. Solo home run tonight. 2-run home run, I should say. Chris Davis a pair of 2-run home runs tonight. Mitch hits it hard on one hop, though, to Chris Palmer. One gone. Well, Moreland 1 out of 2. He makes the U-turn, heads back to the Ranger dugout. That'll bring up Elvis Andrus. Elvis fouled out to the catcher, Matt Wieters, his first time. Elvis now at 247 for the average. It's 5 out of 16 on the road trip. It's been a good one. He's hitting 5 of his last 7 ball games. Takes a strike to the outer edge. Elvis continuing to swing the bat well against the Orioles and in this ballpark. Off speed hangs high. Andrus a .314 hitter in his last 13 games in this park. That goes back to 2012. The 1-1 from Gonzalez. Pulled into the hole and by J.J. Hardy in the left field for a base hit. That was a big turn, but he'll hang on as Travis Snyder gets to the ball. And Elvis with a base hit. 1 on and 1 out for Leonys Martin.
Looked like a split finger pitch that hung, stayed out over the plate. Elvis a little bit out in front of it, and probably a good thing. He pulled it to Hardy's right, couldn't make a play on it.
Well, the Rangers with their 6th hit of the night against Gonzalez. Leonys Martin, a strikeout the first time he faced the right-hander. Takes a strike on the first pitch here. We'll see if Jeff Bannister can get the running game going. You got Elvis at first, and Rangers have been running in spurts. They are 19 for the last 23 steal attempts. They have just 18 stolen bases, though, in their last almost month of play. Double play ground ball to Flaherty. Hardy turns it over. 4-6-3, and that takes care of Elvis's one-out single. No runs a hit, nobody left. After 3.5, we are tied at 4. West is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. And by the Mazda 6. J.D. Power has awarded the Mazda 6 highest ranked vehicle appeal among midsize cars. And clouds thickening a bit overhead. Still a very warm and sultry night here in Baltimore as the Orioles come to bat in the bottom of the 4th. Chris Parmelee starts things off by fouling off that first pitch. A couple of youngsters doing exactly what Tom Reeves said. You bring your glove with you and
be ready. Pay attention.
Parmelee had a single to center his first time up there, and he hammers one foul. It's well fouled down the right side.
He got all of it, though. Boy, when you're sitting right there, you don't expect to get a ball. And when you do, it makes you very happy.
Yep. Makes you dance in the aisles. 0-2 to Parmelee. Parmelee leading off here in the 4th inning. He'll be followed by J.J. Hardy and then Travis Snyder. This one popped up. Colby had it just out in front of that off-speed pitch. Adrian Beltre puts that away for out number 1. Parmelee retired. Now J.J. Hardy coming up. Well, folks, on Tuesday, July 7th, Rangers take on the Arizona Diamondbacks. And the first 15,000 fans 14 and over will take home a Hawaiian Rangers t-shirt. That's courtesy of Fox Sports Southwest. Just visit TexasRangers.com to get your tickets for that July 7th date. Those Hawaiian t-shirts. Hardy shooting it right back up the middle for a base hit. J.J. Hardy, one of the best offensive shortstops in the game over the last several years. He has a one-out single here in the 4th inning.
A little bit of a down year for Hardy last year, but he's had 5 years in his career where he's hit over 20 home runs. First year he joined the Orioles, he had 30. In 2011 to 2013, over a 3-year period, he averaged 26 home runs for a shortstop.
Hardy at first. Here's Travis Snyder, who grounded into a fielder's choice. Takes the backdoor hook in for strike 1. Snyder, a .267 average now with 3 home runs and 19 driven in. Part of the left-handed platoon. He is the left-handed part of the platoon, I should say. Starts in left field for the Orioles. But Showalter very much platoon-oriented in his thinking, unless you have a guy like Machado and Hardy and folks that just play day in and day out. Buck likes to get a lot of guys engaged by using platoons. Sky to right center field. On comes Leonis Martin and Shin-Soo Choo, and Choo makes the call on the catch. That is out number 2. Next will be Ryan Flaherty.
Well, had a little cutting action to it. Looked like it got in on the fists of Snyder. Kobe's still battling out there, trying to get a little more consistent with his breaking pitches.
Yep.
And that's obviously a big part of his arsenal. And trying to move his fastball around and find that slider, maybe find the curveball.
Looks like it's getting slowly better. I know Colby standing out there is probably thinking it's not quick enough. Need some help out here. First pitch to Flaherty is low. You go out, you feel like you've gotten into a gunfight without your gun belt on.
Well, that's where, you know, he's a veteran, and that's where he draws from his experience.
Yep.
Tries to hang in there until he finds it. He's hanging in there pretty good, except for Chris Davis.
Yeah, exactly. Rougned Odor gobbles up that ground ball, and that'll do it. No runs a hit. 1 left for the Orioles. We're going on to the 5th inning here in Baltimore. Rangers 4, Orioles 4.
Today, but look at the skies, not bad at all as we play baseball here in Baltimore, Maryland. If you're in Baltimore, that means you're in close proximity to our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., and a bunch of us on the travel party decided to take a sojourn there. That may not look like it, but that's Congress. That is where the House and Senate are housed. That's the Capitol building in Washington, D.C., and a bunch of us went there today, and if you didn't recognize it, you'll know by the next shot that we're able to show you that, in fact, we were at the home of the Senate and the home of the House of Representatives. How about that seal that's on the back of the elevator, one of the elevators? There we are. Now, that's Jeff Irwin on the left, our cameraman. Josh Shelton is the director of team travel. Me and Hoggy Price. And then Blake Miller was surrounded by his son, Craig, and Craig's friend Jeremy on the far right there. That's the mall behind us and the Washington Monument. It's from just below where we were standing that the president is inaugurated whenever he is, as we got this behind-the-scenes tour of the House of Representatives, and they made the mistake of letting us go into some of the briefing rooms. So there I am. I'm practicing in case I ever get elected, but then we made a huge mistake by letting Hoggy Price get up there. Hog Hoggy started a filibuster, and if you've noticed, guys, Hoggy is not on the bench now. He's still there. He's still filibustering, and I don't even know what he's trying to sell people on. But great trip down to D.C. on the train today. We had a really fun time, guys. Let's get it back up to you.
That's great. That's good stuff.
John could be a press secretary.
Yeah.
Look very official standing behind that podium.
Robinson Chirinos leading off the Ranger fifth inning. And the count now is full. Chirinos had a base hit and scored in the third inning. Well, Robinson now with that average up to 211. Facing Miguel Gonzalez. Gonzalez about ready to throw his 69th pitch of the night. Robinson hitting up over 250 in his last couple of weeks of play. Hammers one to left. It is high and deep. Goodbye. Robinson Chirinos parks his 8th home run of the year, and the Rangers regain the lead 5-4.
Well, last couple of games has been a good example of what we've been talking about all year long, Buzz, and that's the combination of Robinson and Carlos and the job that together they do offensively from the catching position. It's 27 RBIs now for Robinson. Carlos hit a home run last night. He's got 14. So that's 41 runs batted in for the catcher for the Rangers. And there's not a lot of teams that have a catcher with 41 RBIs.
Yep. And 11 home runs.
Yep. That's pretty good.
No, Rangers back out in front. Balls flying out of Oriole Park at Camden Yards at an alarming rate if you're a pitching aficionado.
Most of these aren't balls that are scraping the back of the wall either. No. Most of these things, you're just watching them and see how far they're going to go.
Ruben Odor up there for his 3rd at bat of the night. He was officially 1 for 1. Been on base both times with a walk and an infield single. 1 ball and 1 strike. Odor now with a 5-game hitting streak after his infield safety. And this one skied to left field. Playable for Travis Snyder in and over toward the line. 1 out. Next to be Shin-Soo Choo. The Rangers with the home run by Chirinos hitting in that 9th slot. That's the 7th home run from a 9th hitter this year for the Rangers. His 2nd in Major League Baseball. Chirinos bombing his 8th of the year. Shin-Soo Choo a walk and a fly out. 0 for 1 officially, hitting at 231. Foul back to the left. It is 0-1. Choo making his 11th start out of his last 13 ball games. Or I should say the 3rd start in his last 13 ball games. As the number 2 hitter. I've been hitting leadoff, but Ruben Odor appears to have retaken that position on a pretty permanent basis right now. He's been getting on base consistently, and Choo dropping down to number 2. This one hit deep to left field. Going back to Snyder at the track, at the wall. Goodbye. Choo going to the opposite alley. His 2nd home run in as many nights, and the Rangers lead it 6-4.
Well, it's a good sign when Choo goes the other way. First time up, he hit a solid ball the other way, fly ball the other way. Last night, he almost hit a home run. Reimold took it back. This time, he gets it up in the air. And if you've got power to the opposite field, this is a great park to go the other way in because it's not that far in left center field. That is not a real good 0-2 pitch. Up and out over the plate to a guy that's showing some signs of getting hot again.
And now Chris Fielder coming unglued on that last swing. Boy, he really let it go. But Choo his 10th home run of the year. The Rangers with 4 home runs last night, 3 more tonight. 0-1 the count to Fielder. Prince 1 for 2 with an RBI single. 1 ball and 1 strike. Fielder now 49 runs driven in. Prince came into the ball game tied for 7th with 48 RBI. 2-1. Brad Brock, the right-hander, now starting to loosen in that Oriole bullpen. Fielder at 349 with the average. Gonzalez back to him. Splitter stays outside. It's 3-1. Our Ford leaderboard. How about the current hitting streaks? Prince Fielder upped his to 9 straight. Chris Davis to 10 straight. Manny Machado still hanging on at 11. He does not have a hit tonight. Chris Davis a pair of home runs to up his hitting streak. 3-1 pitch. 3-2. Somewhere close.
Yeah, we've seen that pitch called. In fact, the one, who was that one to? About a Rugnet. To Rugnet. Yeah, about 6 inches higher than that. A couple inches more outside. Ended up getting a base hit in that at bat anyway.
To left field. A long run for Snyder. It's down the line. It is a foul ball.
Whoa.
John Hirschbeck, the third base umpire, down on one knee, looking right down that line. He immediately threw his hands up, saying a foul ball. Not by much, as you can see. It was not going to draw chalk. So Prince back to the plate. We'll try another 3-2 pitch. Prince now leading the American League, but he has 103 hits in this 78th game for the Rangers this year. Oh, he had a rip at that high fastball.
I guess he did.
Wow. That is a pretty healthy cut. The recoil almost threw him down to the ground. Prince back in. Gonzalez getting the signs from Weeder. Another 3-2 is coming. We'll try it again. Well, the 9th pitch of the at-bat will be the next one thrown to Prince. I would suggest if Gonzalez wants to get him out, I wouldn't throw number 9 where number 8 was. Ooh, that splitter looked like it stayed up. Prince able to foul him off. He just happens to like that center of the plate.
The center of the plate has seen a lot more balls in it in this game than you generally would see, I think.
Yeah. And as a result, the stands have seen a lot more balls in the outfield. And that pitch high, ball 4. The fielder works it for a 10-pitch walk. He is aboard. Adrian Beltre coming up, and Buck Showalter kind of impatiently on his way to the mound. You can pretty well tell that Buck has the hook with him. He signals that he wants Brock to come in from the bullpen. So Miguel Gonzalez finished after 4 1/3 innings of work. He leaves trailing 6-4 with Fielder his responsibility on base. We'll tell you about Brad Brock after we come back this time out on Fox Sports Southwest. July 27th, they're in through Thursday, July 30th. Great seats are still available for the 4-game set. Just visit TexasRangers.com. Or you can call 972-RANGERS and get your seats for that Yankee series. Well, the pitching change has been made here. Brad Brock has come out of the bullpen for the Orioles to take over. Miguel Gonzalez worked 4 1/3. And Brock now on to pitch to Adrian Beltre. Brock, a 29-year-old out of New Jersey, came over to the Orioles from San Diego year before last. Last year in 46 games for the Orioles, he was 7-1 coming out of the pen. The first pitch to Adrian is ball 1.
You can tell he's tough to hit. A .212 opponent's batting average and 44 strikeouts in 36 innings.
And Beltre drives one to left, but he hooked it. And it is foul. 93-mile-an-hour fastball coming in and going out at about 103. Fastball staying up and on the inner part of the plate, and Adrian just a little bit quick with pulling the trigger. Well, Brock has that fastball that you've seen in the low to mid-90s, a slider, and also an excellent split-fingered pitch that's his out pitch. Like that. Bottom just falling out of that thing. Adrian able to lay off at 2 balls and a strike. Beltre tonight has grounded out twice, once into a double play. Got Prince Fielder at first, being held on by Chris Parmalee. Going outside, 3 balls and a strike. Brock out of Monmouth University, originally a San Diego Padre selection in the 2008 draft. It's out of play. The count is full. Padres took Brock with a 42nd round pick that year. Made it to the major leagues in 2011 with San Diego's major league debut. He's never been a starter at any level of professional baseball. Payoff pitch to Beltre. Double play ground ball to Hardy. Flaherty turns it over, and that'll do it. 6-4-3, but the Rangers with a couple of home runs. Shin-Soo Choo and Robinson Chirinos, and Hoggy is still throwing the filibuster out. 6-4 Rangers. Meet Rougned Odor and become a Whataburger What a fan. Come on out July 8th at 10 a.m., 10:30 a.m. I should say. to the Whataburger at 311 West Camp Wisdom Road in Duncanville. And sign up for a chance to win 4 lower-level tickets to the Rangers-Tigers game on September 30th. Plus a VIP tour of Globe Life Park. And you get to meet Rougned Odor. Manny Machado leading off the 5th inning for the Orioles, and he pops one foul back into the seats. Colby Lewis now with a count of 1 ball and 1 strike. Machado twice tonight has flied out, once to right and once to center. Watching Colby in his warm-up tosses between innings here for the bottom of the 5th. Looked like he got himself in a little better spot. Machado drives one to deep right, though. Chu is back at the wall. It's gone. Just to the left of the out-of-town scoreboard into that short right field porch. And Machado, with his 16th home run of the year, makes it a 6-5 Ranger lead.
Well, 2 fastballs basically were right down the middle of the plate. The one before it was the same pitch, and he fouled it off. And you say, you know, you hope you get another one. Well, he got another one. Same spot. Trying to throw it down and away. And it's right down the center of the plate. You can see the second one is right in the middle of the plate. So is the third one. Just been a case today. An unusual start for Colby in that he hasn't had a breaking ball, and he hasn't been able to locate his fastball.
First ball swinging. Jimmy Paredes skies to center field. That is out number 1, and we'll bring up Adam Jones. But first, we're going to send it back to Aaron Hardigan for a Mazda game break. All right, Aaron, thank you. Here the Rangers leading 6-5. In a home run hitting contest here tonight. Adam Jones has been aboard 2 times and scored both times ahead of Chris Davis home runs. As that first pitch back, 0-1. Jones reached in the first on an error. Look at Manny Machado, who extended his hitting streak now to 12 consecutive games with his 16th home run of the year, leading off this frame. Colby with the 75th pitch of the night. 1 ball and 1 strike. Jones now at 294 for the season. Colby to the wind, back to the plate he comes. Ball is ripped foul down the left side. 1-2. Well, even though Colby Lewis is a fly ball pitcher, we've seen a lot more pitches tonight, not only up, but in the middle of the plate and up than we usually see from him.
Very unusual for Colby. This is one of those nights out there battling, trying to make the pitches. That's better. Got that one inside.
He sure did. Elvis throws out Adam Jones. That's out number 2, and it brings up Chris Davis. Kubota power stat tonight will deal with a left-handed pitcher. That will be Dallas Keuchel of the Houston Astros. Leads the American League with 116 in the 3rd innings. He's second with a 217 earned run average. Walks and hits per inning less than 1. And he starts tonight against the Royals.
Got a top 10 beard, too.
He does. He does.
If you're into those things.
Chris Davis, a 2-run home run in the first, a 2-run home run in the 3rd. And I will bet you anything he can't hit a 2-run home run this time.
I hope he doesn't hit a 1-run homer.
1 ball and 1 strike to him. Davis now 18 home runs for the year.
If he gets the same pitch he got the first 2 times up, though, there's a chance he could.
You're right.
That's better.
1 ball and 2 strikes. Robinson Chirinos going to help Bill Welke out a little bit by taking a time and walking out to talk to Colby. catchers aren't the only ones that take the brunt of a foul tip from time to time. Umpires in a pretty vulnerable position themselves. Robinson taking his time getting back there. Milwaukee. Okay, let's go. A ball and 2 strikes to Davis. 2-2 now. Chris with 49 runs driven in. With the 4 here tonight. It's his 9th career 2-home run game. Staying alive at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Davis now has hit safely in 16 of his last 20 ball games. So right at 300. And that's inside and high. It's 3 balls, 2 strikes. Davis trying to get aboard with 2 outs here in the 5th. He's able to reach Matt Wieters, the catcher. Will follow. Colby with the 3-2. Pulled on the ground to shallow right field, and Goodman Odor throws out Davis. That will do it. Manny Machado starts off with a solo home run. That's what the Orioles get. We'll go to the 6th inning with the Rangers leading by 1 now, 6-5. Tonight's jackpot is $2,000 and dinner for 2 at Sonic Drive-In. If a Ranger hits a home run during this inning, Betty Fisher from Garland, Texas will win $2,000. And if a Ranger hits a grand slam this inning, Betty's going to win $25,000. You can register at any participating Sonic restaurant. Well, this is a good series to have your name called for our Sonic Slam.
Yeah, hopefully they got some left in them.
I think so. And Josh has several left in him. He's 1 for 2 tonight with a single. Brad Brock going at him with strike 1. Hamilton singled in his first at bat since coming back off the disabled list. Josh missing just about a month. Lines one over the leap of Machado into left, and Hamilton's 2 for 3. Josh going the other way, and sounded like it probably going to cost him a bat. Sounded like the bat didn't survive that encounter with the ball.
A little bit off the end of the bat. Tailing fastball, 93 miles an hour, lined into left field by Josh. Rangers had a lot of base runners. Trying to get some more runs.
9 hits and 3 walks tonight. Mitch Moreland had one of those 9 hits. His 13th home run of the year, a 2-run blast in the 2nd. 1 ball, no strikes. Mitch 1 out of 2, having grounded out in the 4th inning. Brock with the set, a check of Hamilton. 2-0. Our Mitch Moreland power surge numbers: 5 home runs in his last 6 ball games. That's after 5 home runs in his previous 28.
Yeah, 5 home runs in 28 games is not that bad.
Yeah,
that'll get you 25 or 30 for the season.
Brock with a 2-0 pitch. And he was trying to add one more to that home run total right there.
Yeah, Brock was not going to give him a fastball to do it with. Threw him the splitter.
Mitch has only had a couple of at-bats against Brock in the past. 0 for 1 with a walk. Got Hamilton at first. Nobody out here in the 6th inning. 2-1 the count. Now 3-1. Brock making an effort to stay away from the good part of the plate to Mitch Moreland. He's fallen behind. Moreland hitting 6th in the order tonight. Elvis Andrus will follow Mitch.
Well, he's definitely going out of his way to keep the ball down, even if it meant a walk.
And that's exactly what happened. A walk ensued, and Moreland will trot down to first. Down to second goes Hamilton, and Elvis Andrus coming up.
Probably a bunting situation normally. The only thing you would consider is the fact that Leonis is not a hot hitter right now.
Yeah.
And so if you move the runners over, you've got a guy in a slump coming up with men on second and third. We'll see which way the skipper decides to go.
Corners the Orioles around. Yeah, they're thinking bunt, and Elvis showing bunt. And takes ball 1. Now that may be the fact that Leonis is not swinging the bat well. It may play into going ahead and having Elvis bunt to maybe give Leonis a chance to snap out of it with an out.
Sure.
Put him in a good situation where they really have to deal to him. I guess that's the other train of thought you could possibly have.
And you stay out of the double play. Scoring a lot of different ways with men on second and third.
Popped up. Wieters will have a play and makes the catch. That time it looked like Elvis was trying to drop the bunt down for maybe a base hit. Let the head of the bat get down a little bit underneath the ball and got the foul pop.
I think he was just fooled by the location of the pitch. He ran that fastball in on him, and he just wasn't able to get the bunt down. Kind of jammed him, tied him up.
The 1 out, and here is Leonis. Martin tonight has struck out, grounded into a double play. He takes a strike from Brock. The Orioles tonight have turned 4 double plays. It's just about the most you can turn in 4 innings. 1 ball, 1 strike, as the ball gets away momentarily from Wieters, but not far enough to allow Hamilton to try and advance. And Brock, as you have seen, very much only a low ball pitcher, but that good split fingered pitch induces a lot of ground balls. Brock studying the signs. The right-hander's ready. This is low and outside. 2-1. Miguel Gonzalez worked the first 4 1/3. Gave up 3 walks and 8 hits with 6 runs. And Brock having a little trouble here. He gets a strike on the swing from Martin. Pretty good splitter.
Sure was. I got a good pitch to hit till the last 10 feet.
2 balls, 2 strikes. And the count goes full. Now Martin trying to get aboard to join Hamilton and Moreland. Robinson Chirinos, the Ranger catcher, and a hot hitter waiting to be next. Skied to right center field. Adam Jones to his left makes the catch. Hamilton tagging at second will advance to third. So with 2 outs now, Rangers have runners at the corners, and Robinson Chirinos coming to the plate. Chirinos a single and a home run. 2 runs scored tonight. And speaking of that home run, how about last inning? Chirinos leading off the 5th inning. Miguel Gonzalez, well, he pounded that about halfway back in the bleachers in left field.
One of those spinning sliders, it looked like. Spun right to the center of his bat.
Yeah. 216 the average now for Chirinos by going 2 for 2. And he pops up the first pitch. Hardy calling everybody off in the shallow center. The shortstop makes the grab. That'll do it. Rangers get 2 aboard on a hit and a walk, but they strand him. After 5.5, it remains the Rangers 6 and the Orioles 5. Baseball, but on one night, they all happen in one place. Don't miss the 86th All-Star Game on Tuesday, July 14th, only on Fox. And don't forget, visit TexasRangers.com/vote to send Fielder, Beltre, and Moreland to the game, and you only have until the 2nd to do that. Matt Wieters leading off the bottom of the 6th for the Orioles. Wieters to be followed by Chris Parmelee and J.J. Hardy. Wieters 0 for 2 tonight, a ground ball and a fly ball when he pops that pitch foul. Nothing in 2 very quick. Colby Lewis has worked 5 innings, allowed 5 runs, only 3 of them earned. 6 base hits, 2 home runs, make that 3 home runs, 2 to Chris Davis and 1 to Manny Machado. Got him swinging. Didn't locate it exactly where he wanted it, but it was in the right spot to induce a swing and a miss. And Colby gets his 3rd strikeout of the night. If you hang it high enough, you're going to be okay. That's exactly what happened there.
You know, as a hitter, if you pick up the spin on it, you assume that it's going to come towards you and down a little bit, and then you swing and it just spins and kind of backs up, as they say, and stays up, and he swung underneath it. Well, said, if you could throw a backup slider on purpose where you want it to, it'd be a pretty good pitch.
1 ball, 1 strike to Parmelee, who singled back in the 2nd inning. Yeah, and you know, I've known guys that swore up and down they could do that.
They did it on purpose.
Yeah, but only after the fact. They never tell you beforehand, hey, I'm going to make this one back up.
Yeah.
That ball's hammered but pulled foul by Parmalee. It's 1 ball, 2 strikes. It's kind of like banking in a 40-foot shot in basketball and off the glass and saying, well, I called it.
Yeah, I called it.
Parmalee, a .311 average. Colby comes back to him. Another hard hit ball, but very foul. Still 1-2. Sam Freeman up and loosening in that Ranger bullpen. Colby nearing the 100 pitch mark, just over 90 now.
Well, Sam was lights out in last night's game. Came in and pitched an inning. He struck out 3 guys. About a minute and a half. Bang, bang, bang. It was over.
2 balls, 2 strikes. And in a 1-run game, I don't imagine it's going to take much more than a base runner to get Colby out of the ballgame now that he's close to 100 pitches. It has been a battle for him, but he has done admirably. Left field, Hamilton coming on, sliding, and makes the catch. Boy, picking her right off the grass top. Josh kind of went to his left, and then at the last second said, hey, I can catch that. And he did.
A little bit of a late break after it. And picked that thing right off the ground. Nice play. Josh was talking a little bit coming into this ball game that there might be some plays that he has to play a little bit cautiously just to make sure he doesn't re-injure his leg. But you know, he tagged up from second to go to third on a fly ball.
Yep.
And he came in and slid and went 100% after that one. So those are good words to say, but once you get out there in the heat of battle, it's not quite that easy to do it that way, especially with, you know, the way Josh plays. Dives into first base, trying to beat a ball out, goes into the wall, dives for balls.
I remember several years ago, 2011, I guess it was, Josh had run into about every wall he possibly could going after balls. He said, I'm through. That's the last time I run into a wall. It wasn't a week later, and he was running into another wall.
Yeah.
He just can't, he said, like, that's the way I play, and I can understand that.
I think he was saying I need to be a little bit cautious, but that doesn't mean I'm going to.
Yeah. You get out between the white lines, and all those good intentions are gone.
Yeah.
2-1 to J.J. Hardy. Beltre cuts that off at third. On across the diamond, and there is a 1-2-3 inning, the first of its kind tonight for Colby Lewis, who has gotten through 6 innings, and the Rangers have a 6-5 lead. And started off Chris Davis in the first inning. His second home run of the game in the third inning. But then the Rangers ganged up on him. Robinson Chirinos, a solo shot leading off the fifth. Later on, Shin-Soo Choo in the fifth inning, going the other way. The Rangers with 3 home runs tonight. are leading 6-5 as we head to the top of the 7th inning here at Oriole Park in Camden Yards. Rougned Odor in the top of the Ranger order to face Brad Brock. Brock starting his second full inning of work as Rougned takes strike one. Odor 1 for 2 officially. He walked back in the first inning. In the third, had an infield single and scored a run. Last time up in the 5th, skied to left field. 1 ball and 1 strike. Odor now with a 5-game hitting streak. I've seen him go 9 for 17 in those 5 games. 1-2. This is Odor's 5th start in the last 8 games at the leadoff spot. Going the other way, Snyder toward the line, ball hanging up for him, and he's able to make the grab for out number 1. Next will be Shin-Soo Choo. The Brock now has retired 4 straight. Choo, good night tonight. He is homered and walked. Fly to left field, 1 out of 2. And aboard twice.
And again, it's not a coincidence that the Rangers have had a good night scoring when you look at Odor and Choo. Odor had a single in the same inning that Choo walked. They scored. Choo had a home run. The top of the order has contributed. And throughout most of the month of June, when the Rangers weren't scoring, they were having a hard time getting anybody on base at the top of the lineup. Choo struggled most of the month.
Pretty tough to have a well-oiled machine if you don't have table setters. And that's exactly what Choo and Odor have done.
Yep.
And now that you're getting guys back in the middle of the lineup healthy and with the proper protection, or with the maximum protection, you can see it's setting up for a very interesting second half for the Rangers this year. Choo lofts a fly ball to fairly shallow. And Snyder able to make the grab. That's out number 2. Now Prince Fielder coming up. The Rangers, I think, showed us in the month of May when they were right up at the top offensively in all of baseball that it's there if they can put it together and maintain that for a couple, 3 months. There's Prince Fielder, a huge part of that. He has been the consistent part of the middle of the order for the Rangers the entire year. That's a strike here. Hitting at .349 with 12 home runs and now 49 RBI. 1 out of 2 tonight. Robinson Chirinos talking to Dave Magadan. Prince Fielder now 14 RBI in 16 career games against these Baltimore Orioles. One and 2. Brock ready. And back to the plate comes the right hand. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Prince eyeballed that all the way.
Got him swinging. Brock gets a strikeout. It's a 1-2-3 inning. First time the Rangers have been set down in order tonight. Take the stretch here in Baltimore. And the Rangers leading 6-5. And now let's join the public address announcer as he introduces America the Beautiful.
Men and women who serve our country and defend our freedom. We ask that you please rise and join singer-songwriter Michael Tolcher in singing America the Beautiful.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountains, majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
It looks like this. This the last day of June. Finishing up here in Baltimore on the 1st and 2nd of July. Then back home. The big 4th of July weekend with Los Angeles Angels in town. Arizona follows. And then San Diego. A 3-game set to finish off the pre-All-Star game portion of the Rangers schedule this year. Keone Kela has come out of the Ranger bullpen now to take over in the 7th inning for Colby Lewis. Kela fires strike one to Travis Snyder.
You have to like the way that Colby finished, Buzz. He gave up the home run to Machado, but then he got the last 6 batters he faced.
Yep.
It wasn't his best game. It wasn't his best stuff, but it was still him battling out there at 100% like he always does. And he leaves after 6 innings, and Rangers have a 1-run lead.
Yeah, you won't get any style points for the beauty of the outing, but you'll get style points for how hard he had to fight.
Exactly.
And the adjustments he made, he had to make adjustments from pitch to pitch, trying to figure out what in the world was going on, and he did a very credible job. 1-1 pitch. There's that big hook that drops in. It's 1-2.
That's one thing, I guess, as a pitcher, to get the other team out when everything's working and you feel great. Another thing to do it when you're having a hard time finding exactly what's working for you, but you battle through it.
Yep. And Kela going upstairs, and Travis Snyder couldn't catch up. There's the strikeout, 1 away. Ryan Flaherty coming up before he steps in. Let's send it back to Aaron Hardigan with a Mazda game break. All right, Aaron, thank you.
Astros aren't giving in.
No, they sure aren't.
Every time they have a little bit of a challenge, they seem to meet it.
Ryan Flaherty 0 for 2 tonight. Strikeout in the 2nd, a ground out in the 4th inning. Kela back to the plate. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Keone had a good inning in last night's game. He gave up a leadoff double to Machado and got the next 3 hitters and stranded Machado.
That's out of play. A couple of strikeouts in the game. That was coming on the heels of a couple of rough outings that Keone had against Oakland. So a nice bounce back by the right-hander. And, you know, we tend to forget, I think, with Keone, we've seen him enough this year to realize that, hey, this guy can pitch. He doesn't have a whole lot of experience. I mean, he hit 37 games now at the major league level is it. It's all come this year.
He's not being asked to just get his feet wet at the big league level and mop-up role either. He's a key guy late in the ball game, pitch him when the game's on the line.
And that's something that he convinced Jeff Bannister and Mike Maddox with his performance that he could handle. And he certainly has done that. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Flaherty. Now Chirino's going to go out and have a little chat with him.
Can't get it out.
No.
There you go.
Nope.
He doesn't want to lose the rest of his beer, I guess. You could tip it upside down.
He's going to figure this thing out.
He's having a hard. He might have had too many beers. He can't figure out what hand to put that thing in.
2-2 now.
He couldn't handle the selfie, so he got someone else to do it.
Yeah. He's going to document it so that there's no doubt what happened. Got him swinging.
Good fastball.
Keone Kela just throwing it right by Ryan Flaherty for the 2nd strikeout in a row.
Most of Keone's fastballs have just about settled into 96 miles an hour.
Yep.
You can look up at the scoreboard and pretty much count on seeing 96. And boy, what a beautiful shot. Just swung underneath that ball.
You got a good look at what a 4-seam fastball looks like in slow motion.
Yeah.
But it gets on you a lot quicker than that. Now back to the top of the order, Manny Machado, who had a home run his last time up. Beltre cuts it off. Adrian, a strike. Boy, a very impressive 1-2-3 inning here in the 7th for Keone Kela. 3 up and 3 down. We're going to the 8th. 6-5 Rangers. Southwest data, strong fan, and you just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast. It's all brought to you by T-Mobile. Get those snapshots going. Get them in here. Now as we head to the top of the 8th inning, Adrian Beltre to start things off. Chaz Rowe. tall, lanky right-hander. On now for the Orioles. Rowe, a 28-year-old out of Steubenville, Ohio, appearing in his 16th ball game. Another minuscule 0.90 ERA in 20 innings of work.
A little bit stingy with the hits.
Rowe will face Beltre, Hamilton, and Moreland in this one-run ball game. Rangers on top. They have out-hit the Orioles 9-6. Beltre takes strike one from Rowe. Adrian is grounded into 2 double plays tonight. He has 3 ground outs total. Rowe back to him. 85-mile-an-hour breaking ball. 0-2. Rowe, part of the bullpen for the Orioles that has been one of the best in all of baseball all year, particularly since the first part of May. Shot by Beltre, foul. They lead with an ERA of just over 2 since the end of April. Buck Showalter's club, even with the moving parts, they change out pitchers. Whenever they overuse a long man or a middle man, they'll change out very quickly and call somebody up from AAA. There's a little tap of the roll. Can't find the handle, and Beltre is going to beat it up.
It looked like that tough a play. The ball was probably closer to him than it was the third baseline. But you can see how he falls off toward first base. His right leg comes down all the way over toward first base, and made it a little bit tougher to get over there and get it. Once he did, couldn't quite hold on to it.
Yeah, that's 6'5", and looks like he's all arms and legs.
Yeah.
A little tough to get himself squared around. So Beltre with his first hit of the night. Rangers now in double figures with 10 base hits. There's Josh Hamilton, who has 2 of those 10 hits. A couple of singles. He has a check swing strike against Jazz Rowe. Josh now with that 2 for 3 evening. A .320 average. Orioles an overshift with Hamilton up there. The only Oriole, Manny Machado, on the left side of the diamond. Other than that, you got Flaherty cutting down that hole on the first base side, and Hardy, the shortstop, playing at a normal second base position. 1-1 pitch. Now 2-1. Good overhead look at that defensive alignment. Upstairs, Hamilton couldn't quite catch up with it. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Josh in his first game since back on the 31st of May. You remember Hamilton came off the bench, had that pinch hit 2-run double to win the ball game against Boston. And he takes strike 3 here, and he will. Roll back toward the slider, and Hamilton caught looking. 1 out.
Josh wasn't quite ready for it. Right on the outside corner.
I take it back. That was a fastball. Looked like a slider from up here, but that obviously was not a breaking ball.
Pretty good velocity, pretty good movement, pretty good location.
Well, here's Mitch Moreland now with 1 away.
Could be his game plan. Throw that 94-mile-an-hour fastball tailing away on the outside corner to the left-hand hitters.
Mitch with his 3rd home run in the last 2 nights. That was back in the 2nd. Also grounded out and walked. 1 out of 2 officially. Hits this one high in the air to left field. That pushes Snyder back. He's still going back at the wall. Goodbye.
Wow. That did not look like a home run.
Going the other way. Another another 2-home run game for Moreland.
Wow.
And the Rangers lead it 8-5.
Did you think that was gone?
No.
I didn't either. I thought he popped it up.
When I saw Snyder just kind of drifting back, I thought, okay, well, he's going to get back to the edge of the track and make the catch. But Moreland, with his second home run tonight, his 14th of the year, and the Rangers have added on late as they did last night.
Well, you know how strong Mitch is. He didn't come close to getting all that ball. That ball he hit it right off the end of the bat. I don't think he thinks it's a home run. It looked like he flipped his bat, thinking that he just missed it. But boy, you see the dimensions of this park where that ball went out. If you're Mitch Moreland, you're thinking, man, I could really get used to hitting in this ballpark.
Yeah, on a warm and humid night here, the ball really carrying again. For the second straight night, the Rangers have tied their season high with 4 home runs. I'll remind you now, they had not had 4 home runs in a game since back on the 9th of April until last night. And then 24 hours later, they've done it again. Shue and Moreland part of those both those nights. Elvis gets jammed, and Machado throws him out. 2 gone. Next will be Leonis Martin. Well, folks, the next Dollar Hot Dog Night is Wednesday, July 8th. Rangers take on the Diamondbacks in interleague matchup, so make your plans to head on out to Globe Life Park for some summer fun and enjoy all the ballpark hot dogs you can eat for just $1 each. Visit TexasRangers.com for tickets or call 972-RANGERS. Martino for 3 tonight. He has struck out, grounded into a double play, and fly to center. Average at 220 for Leonis. And there's a base hit into right center. Go. Adam Jones, the throw to second, not in time. A hustling double with 2 outs for Leonis Martin.
That's one more thing the Rangers would like to accomplish is get Leonis hot again.
Yep.
He had a nice stretch there for quite a while where he was hot. Cooled off, but he's due to get hot again. Tough pitch right there. Looked like it was several inches inside. He fought it off, hustling all the way. Adam Jones makes a nice play and an excellent throw. Leonis had a little too much speed for it.
So the 3rd Ranger hit of the inning, the 2nd extra base hit, along with Moreland's 2-run home run. Robinson Chirinos up for his 4th at bat of the night. Robinson 2 out of 3, a single and a solo blast. Leonis getting that lead from second. Rowe checks him. 1 ball and 1 strike. The Rangers leading 8-5. They won last night 8-1. Rangers 12 more hits tonight. J.J. Hardy, the shortstop, straightens up, throws across the diamond. That'll do it. But the Rangers add on a couple of runs. They get 2 runs on 3 hits and lead 1. After 7.5, it's now 8-5 Rangers.
Rangers 8-5 lead right now. That's 2 nights in a row. The Rangers have put 8 on the board, and they are feeling pretty good as they head toward the 9th inning for them. Bottom of the 8th for the Orioles here. Here's tomorrow's game. It's Martinez against Chen. Look at Chen's numbers against Texas. So the Rangers will definitely have their work cut out for them as Chen will feel good on the mound. But Nick Martinez has been good on the road. Look at those numbers. Nick will try to keep the Rangers right in again tomorrow. AT&T Uverse reminds you that the game is at 6 tomorrow. Rangers live at 5:30. Buzz and Tom, back to you guys.
All right, John, thank you. It should be a good matchup, and hopefully the Rangers will be going in with 2 wins under their belt against these Orioles.
Wei-Yin Chen's given up 13 home runs, so I'm sure he's been watching the Rangers' power outburst in these 2 games.
Tanner Scheppers on in relief. He becomes the second out of the bullpen. Tanner, 25 appearances now, 3-0 the record, and he deals a strike to Jimmy Paredes. Saw Tanner last night, worked an inning in relief, gave up a walk, but had a strikeout and a double play behind him. Tapper back to Scheppers, and mishit one hopper, and Tanner takes care of that. 1 gone. Now with that ground out, now 10 straight sent down by the combination of Colby Lewis, Keone Kela, and Tanner Scheppers. Last hit, last base runner for the Orioles back in the 5th inning, a leadoff home run by Machado. And that has been it. Adam Jones is 1 for 3 tonight. Reached on an error and scored in the 1st inning, singled in the 3rd and scored. And grounded to short in the 5th inning. Scheppers with the breaking ball, and that nibbles on the outside corner for strike 1. Adam Jones 2 for 3 in his career against Tanner Scheppers. Elvis, 2 gone.
Colby Lewis retired the last 6 that he faced. Keone got 3 in the 7th, first 2 here in the 8th. So 11 straight men have been retired by Ranger pitching. Just love the way Colby settled down those last 6 outs after the home run by Machado. Gave himself a chance to get a win in this game. Yeah, Colby's had a lot of games where he didn't give up anything and didn't get a win or got a loss. So he doesn't have to be ashamed of having a chance to win a game giving up 5 runs.
Not at all.
He's earned that right.
And Chris Davis fouling back that first pitch, 0-1. And that was the kind of ball game where you leave a veteran, Colby Lewis, around, let him hang around the ball game. Let his team score enough to keep him in the game. He's going to figure out something as the game goes on.
Eventually he did.
Yeah. High and tight to Chris. It's 1 ball and 1 strike.
Yeah, even though the first 4 innings didn't go the way he wanted them to, he has to be pretty satisfied that he ended up going 6 innings and retired the last 6 hitters, finding it right there at the end.
And Davis lofts a fly ball to left center. This one's staying in the park, though. It'll come down right in the middle of the glove for Leonis Martin, and it's a 1-2-3 inning for Tanner Scheppers. We have finished 8 innings here in Baltimore. The Rangers lead the O's 8-5. Rangers leading 8-5. And Zach Britton from Weatherford, Texas, on now and going to get an inning of work here tonight with his ball club trailing. Zach Britton appearing in his 33rd ball game of the year. He is the possessor of 22 saves this year.
Yeah, he's got a mid-90s hard sinker. And a lot of hitters make contact against him and have their hands start ringing the second the ball hits the bat. he can definitely hit you off the bad part of the bat. Only giving up 1 home run.
Britton facing the top of the order, and Rougned Odor takes strike one. Odor 1 for 3 tonight. A couple of flyouts, a walk, and a single. He has scored a run. Rangers 8 runs on 12 hits this evening. The Orioles 5 runs on just half a dozen hits. Britton now the advantage in the count. No balls, 2 strikes. Zach made the conversion last year from starter to reliever. Had 37 saves in his first foray coming out of the bullpen in late inning situations. Ended up pitching in 71 ball games and turned in a 1.65 ERA. 0-2 pitch coming to Odor. Britton in 2011 made his major league debut with the Orioles. Won 11 ball games as a starter. 11-11 that year in 28 starts. Chopper right off the plate. And the left-handed Britton makes the play for out number 1. And there's that sinker you were talking about.
It's got a good one.
A little tough to get down beneath that thing.
Very nice play, too.
Now with 1 away now, bases empty. Shin-Soo Choo up for his 5th time to the plate. Choo has a walk and a home run. 1 for 3, and also a couple of flyouts. Average now at .233. First pitch inside, kind of spins him around. Choo with 10 home runs. So the Rangers have 3 hitters in their lineup with double-digit home runs. Prince Fielder, Mitch Moreland, and Shin-Soo Choo. 4 more home runs tonight. The Rangers with 85 as a team. So they are racking up the home run totals, putting that number right up there among the best. Houston coming into play today led the league with 110 home runs, just to give you an idea where the Rangers stand.
They've got their third baseman and their first baseman are both hitting under 200. Val Buena's got like 18 or 19 home runs, and Carter's got 14 or 15 home runs. They're both hitting under 200.
And Choo down on strikes. 2 gone. Prince Fielder will be next. Fielder is 1 for 3 tonight. And an RBI single in the 3rd inning. Looking out into the Ranger bullpen in a 3-run game now. It's Sean Tollison time, and he is up and loosening. Prince trying to check his swing, and he did, according to John Hirschbeck. 1 ball, no strikes. Fielder a .348 average. Britton back to the plate. The shortstop, J.J. Hardy, on the second base side of second. That'll do it. A 1-2-3 inning for Zach Britton. Rangers gone in order. We're going to the 9th here in Baltimore. It's John Tollison time, 8-5 Rangers. is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. By AT&T UVerse TV. UVerse has more live TV channels on the go than cable. And by your Texas Ford dealers. Visit your Texas Ford dealer now for great deals on America's best-selling brand. Ford is the best in Texas. Well, the Rangers leading 8-5 as we head to the bottom half of inning number 9. And a guy who we haven't seen in a save situation in a while. As a matter of fact, it's been 11 days. Sean Tollison, who is a perfect 10 for 10. Out of the bullpen now, looking for number 11. Last time Tollison came into a ball game with a save on the line was the 19th of the month against the White Sox at U.S. Cellular. Closed that ball game out. Got his 10th save, and so Tollison in now, and he will face Matt Wieters to start things off here in the 9th inning. It'll be Wieters, Parmalee, and Hardy, the first 3 scheduled hitters for the Orioles. Tollison, the 26-year-old out of Allen, Texas, fires strike 1. John, the Baylor X, officially named closer about 10 days, 2 weeks ago by Jeff Bannister. A weakly hit ground ball to Rougned Odor. 2 pitches, 1 away.
There have been some quick outs in the last 2 innings for the Orioles. Last 3 or 4 innings, really. Not a base runner since the home run by Machado in the 5th inning.
That's right. A lot of ground balls, a lot of strikeouts mixed in there. Chris Parmalee lined out to Josh Hamilton in left field last time. Hamilton made a nice sliding catch. That was back in the 6th inning. And there's another weak ground ball off the end of the bat. Just like the last one. 2 gone. Well, 3 pitches and 2 outs for Sean Tollison. And J.J. Hardy coming up to face the Ranger right-hander. J.J. Hardy batting at .250. He has a base hit in 3 trips tonight. Orioles have just been limited to 6 hits. 2 of their 5 runs were unearned against Colby Lewis. Ball 1.
Yeah, Colby ends up the month with 6 starts, and as they say, 6 quality starts.
Yeah, 6 quality starts. That's, I think if you ask Colby, you say tonight wasn't a quality start, even though it meets the definition.
Yeah.
But he would say it was a good start from the standpoint of not having anything to work with and figuring out a way to hang around.
Yeah. We got the last 6 outs, 6 in a row to close out his 6 innings.
Now this probably as good as any start he's had from that standpoint of just finding some way to get it done.
Yeah.
2-1 pitch to Hardy. And ball 3. Sean Tollison got the 2 left-handed hitters very quickly on just 3 pitches. Now he's fallen behind J.J. Hardy, 3 balls and a strike. If Hardy reaches to extend this inning, Travis Snyder, left-handed hitter, waits to be next. And ball 4. A 2-out walk. And it keeps the Orioles' hopes alive here in the 9th inning. If you're Sean Tollison, you say, okay, well, that wasn't a real good at bat, but they still have to get 1 more base runner to have the tying run come up. And I've got 2 outs on my side. Travis Snyder tonight, 0 for 3, a strikeout, a fly out, and a ground out. That snapped a string of 14 consecutive retired by Ranger pitching, and walk to Hardy. And a fastball in at the knees. 0-1. That walk, by the way, just the 7th allowed this year in 33 2/3 innings by Sean Tollison. A check swing on the pitch inside. It is a strike. Taking second, J.J. Hardy on defensive indifference. John Hersbeck said that went far enough.
Yeah, he did.
0-2 to Snyder. In the dirt, nice stop by Robinson Chirinos. A ball and 2 strikes. Chirinos, a nice game behind the plate tonight. Did a great job of handling Colby Lewis, getting him through his 6 innings, and guys coming out of the bullpen giving nothing to the Orioles. Trying to close it out here. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Tollison to the plate. The right field cheer toward the line, can't get there. Around third, coming in to score is Hardy. An RBI single by Travis Snyder makes it an 8-6 Ranger lead.
Well, you certainly want to get Flaherty right here. You don't want Machado to get a chance to get to the top of the order.
Saw by that grip, that was a changeup that just stayed up. Travis Snyder able to hook it into that corner for the RBI base hit. So still 2 outs. Ryan Flaherty 0 for 3 tonight. A couple of strikeouts and a ground out. Crowd that started out at 27,370. Depleted a bit the last inning or so, but they are still making some noise. Sean Tollison throws high for ball 1. Flaherty 1 for 1 against Tollison. Ball 2. Jeff Bannister, a relatively calm exterior, but probably churning right about now inside. A chopper foul, and Travis Snyder was moving on the pitch, so he's going to have to retrace his steps. Fitz Marlin not holding Snyder closely at first. They will grant the runner second base. It's trying to cut the lead down a little bit. 2-1 the count. Throw to second. Not in time to get Snyder. And the pitch was a ball, so it goes to 3-1.
Snyder stole second, but that was a little close to make your heart pound if you're Buck Showalter.
Well, 3 balls and a strike to Flaherty. Machado waiting in that on-deck circle, and he is the guy, as Tom told you do not want to see in this ball game. Good changeup, 3-2. Sean Tollison, supreme confidence in that pitch. And the count has run all the way out now to Flaherty. Pretty good hitter in these situations this year, 357. Payoff pitch. Fouled off. We'll try it again.
Good try. Came back with the same pitch. Flaherty was a little bit out in front of it, but he was just barely able to make some contact with it.
Flaherty asking himself right now, he wouldn't throw me 3 in a row, would he?
You never know.
You don't know.
The Rangers have retired 14 straight, most of them early in the count, easy outs, and now it's coming right down to the wire. Getting a little hairy here.
Dawson leaning in for the side. Now Flaherty asks for time, and Chirinos is going to go out and have a chat with Sean Tollison, see what's on his mind. Buck Showalter been through the wars before. He's the 3rd winningest manager in Orioles history. trying to figure out a way to get his Orioles to win column here tonight. Another payoff pitch. Call strike 3. Backdoor hook. Tollison gets the strikeout and turns that into a winner. His 11th consecutive save, and the Rangers have won 2 in a row over the Orioles here at Camden Yards. Well, it was a bit of a nail-biter in the 9th inning. All happened with 2 outs, a walk, a single, and then the final pitch.
He threw him a couple of change-ups, 3-1, 3-2, and then the 3-2 pitch. They talked about it. Robinson went out, talked to Sean, and they came up with that backdoor slider, and they caught the outside corner for strike 3. A little closer than you would like it to have gotten after 14 straight and a 3-run lead, 2 outs and nobody on. But the final result is what matters, and has the Rangers in the win column.
Exactly right. And the Rangers finished this month above 500 at 14-13.